Over a period of time, when I joined the company, the main objective was how do we figure out, from being a technology company and trying to save the world, how do we monetize on this technology? What differentiates us from most, we're just not one application technology. In other words, we're in fluids, and our technology can be applicable to numerous industries throughout the world. Some of them are very large, some are smaller, but we need to figure out how to monetize on all whatever we do. And that is, again, that's another process for a small company to learn, to stay focused on certain applications, making sure that we bring them to life. And then over a period of time, that evolution will come around. We'll figure out who, to do other processes as well, which I will elaborate down the road and show you what the company does. Our technology, just an infographic, just to understand what we do on the technology side. I'll consider the fact it's a pipe, about 3 feet long, high pressure steel. It's all static pressure. In other words, inside our reactors, there are no moving parts. The concept behind it is, you can see coming from, from the left to the right, the fluid is entering the chamber of the reactor under pressure. And the pressure is typically between 150 to 200 psi to as high as 1100 psi. And then within a split second, it goes through a process, various stages. And what we create inside the reactor, high pressure, where we break fluids or molecular structure of fluids to microwave or bubbles or nanoparticles. Inside the chambers, we created temperatures that range anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 degrees Celsius. Well, but it's all at the molecular level. So if we conceptually think about when the fluid goes through the reactor, which is about, maybe 3 feet long and about 6 inches wide. Let's say, the fluid is entering the reactor at a room temperature, exiting maybe a couple of degrees higher. But at the molecular level, we create the type of environment that by breaking fluids and nanoparticles, the reaction time, whatever we're trying to achieve, is done instead of hours, days, or months, we do it within seconds. And another beautiful part of the technology itself, we primarily eliminate the usage of chemicals. If we basic chemistry, what do we need? Particle size and temperature. And then we add catalyst to it, and we achieve certain reaction. Well, if we create a mass where the fluid is broken into nanoparticles, become tiny, tiny little things, and temperatures, as I described to at molecular level, 2,000 to 4,000 degrees, now you need to use just a fraction of those chemicals to achieve the reaction that you're trying to do in a positive way. So this is what technology does. It's all static pressure. Some of these reactors have been installed and been in operations for the last, 8, 9 years. From the end user's perspective, it's wonderful because they'll never have to replace them because there are no moving parts. For us, I wish those things would break every couple of years and we'll replace them, but they don't. So they last forever. All our reactors are built in the United States, and we sell these reactors worldwide, from Japan to Europe to the Middle East, South America, and of course, United States. We're only going to touch today subjects on several applications of our technology. And the reason for that is, again, as I mentioned to you, there are multiple applications. If I'm going to start elaborating on everything that we do in our shop, we're going to be here for the next couple hours. I'm not going to let a chance to speak to anyone else. So I'm going to focus only on the industries that we monetizing on today, and also on some of the applications that are right at the gate where we're going to, start executing and actually bring products to life. So again, as I mentioned to you, the key element to what we do in industrial water production, that's the first one we're going to tackle right now, is a chemical-free process. And that what differentiates us primarily from many other technologies that are available today in water treatment and water treatment applications. As David mentioned, we are today economically treating water in Permian Basin. Last week, actually, I was in Texas. I was in the eastern part of New Mexico and Midland, Texas. Industry slowly coming back to life. In 2019, as a matter of fact, in 2018, we started developing this technology to treat produced and track water. Over a period of a year and a half, we were able to do a lot of tweaking, figure out certain things, what we need to do to really increase the capacity, because initial reactors were handling only 200 gallons per minute. As a matter of fact, let me mention too, the capacity of our reactors is highly scalable. The smallest reactor handles about 10 gallons per minute. and the largest 500 gallons per minute. We're currently working on technology that's going to handle 1,000 gallons per minute. So our technology is highly scalable. It can be really applicable to any industry. So in water treatment, for example, as you can see in the bottom, I show you what the water looks like, produced water. The first jar, the big one, that's what it looks like when you see the frac water. I mean, I'm sure many of you did see them. It's sometimes an open pit pool. The smell of sulfur is just nauseating. The water is pitch black. Well, conventional technologies can produce to you jar number 2, number 3, and so on. The last jar that you can see clear water, that's what we do. And we don't use any chemicals. And the process itself is a flow through. The water can be used. Sometimes when, this is brackish waters, down the road it can actually be used for agro, once we do a little bit of desal. But the process itself, as I mentioned to you, is highly scalable. And the biggest advantage what we do for the industry is the fact that we don't use any chemicals. So the cost of treating produced water is substantially lower than any other company today in the world can provide the operational efficiencies to the industry. A little bit on how our process works and how we're monetizing this. Our model for the company in general is the following. We build technology. Our shop is very small. Our cost of operation is about $1.2, $1.3 million per year. It's basically all in. What we do on the application side, we're bringing strategic partners to work with us. They have vertical infrastructure. They really have know-how. This way, we can actually develop technologies but implement applications in numerous industries. And it doesn't really cost us, either on the operational side or marketing side, developing and bringing these technologies to life. So on the produced water, it's a similar process. What we did, we have identified a partner out in Texas and created a joint venture. How the process works, we do sell our reactors. We receive, cost plus profits. But on this particular business model, we also generate recurring revenue. The recurring revenue works on a number of gallons we treat, at the site. So, for example, for one of our operations, for one of the mid-size oil and gas companies, we're going to start fracking pretty soon. And we expect to generate approximately 1 million barrels or process approximately 1 million barrels of frac water per month. We generate on the process anywhere from between 3 to 5 cents a barrel. 99% of that is about, basically goes to our bottom line, because our cost of operation, there's pretty much nothing other than my travel time. But that's basically how our business model is built. So this is a business model here where we have recurring revenue. And we want to exponentially increase what we're going to be doing in this particular industry, because once we go through a process of building 3, 4, 5, 10 of these systems, we believe that we can expand to a number of other industries and produce water treatment applications. Next up, ballast water treatment. It's an interesting industry. About 2010, 2011, various governments worldwide came into the world, to the business community and said, listen guys, when your boat's entering our harbors and you want to dispose of that water, you're using all sorts of chemicals. And what happens now, when you dump your water into the open harbor, you kill everything inside. You cannot do this any longer. You need to find technologies that can actually treat water in a more efficient way and usage of less chemicals, and you're not going to kill everything inside. So a number of companies came in working on the technologies itself. Today, one of the most advanced technologies is UV light. So whatever the conventional process is, they also have UV, and that's how they kill BOD and trying to reduce as much possible usage of chemicals. Chemicals are still being implemented. However, we believe that with our technology, we are going to be able to achieve treatment of ballast water without usage of any chemicals. Again, the question here becomes the cost. If we reduce the cost even by 1 or 2 cents per barrel to the end user, numbers become more significant, because the cost of equipment, typically we've seen ROIs 12 to 24 months. So the technology could be implemented within about 24 hours. So this is something that we're working on. We're working with governments both at the state and federal level. In particular, the state of California, we're working with several ports in California to implement the technology and looking to obtain a number of grants where, let's be frank with you, today government is printing money like it's going out of style, and they're actually funding so many different projects that we believe we can clearly fit in into a environment the government wants to fund our operations. So for ballast water, we're going to be doing feasibility studies, and then we work already with several companies that will bring actual technology and start doing the water treatment. On the next slide, I just want to say, just to illustrate for you what technology looks like with the reactor and electrical motherboard. Let's go to next slide. Vegetable oil refining. Again, this is another application that we started working on in 2013. When I joined the company, as I mentioned to you, the key element was how do we monetize on our technology. The first low-hanging fruit was agricultural business, again, treatment vegetable oil and biodiesel production. And this Polestar was a terrific partner for us. They're based out of Belgium, about 1,000 employees, and they're present basically everywhere in the world. Our agreement with DesMet states the following. DesMet provides us with approximately, exact number, $600,000 per year in licensing fees. And then we have an upsell of our product, and we share in some profit activity as well. So DesMet has been a good partner for us. We generate approximately between $1.2 to $1.5 million per year in operations with DesMet, which covers primarily our cost base. If we look at our company, the last time we had to do a capital raise was in 2014. We raised approximately $1.5 million with some of our institutional clients. We never had to go back to capital markets because we're pretty much a break-even or slightly positive cash flow. Since the valuation of the company was relatively low over a period of time, I find it would have been inefficient for us to go to capital markets at the time and get additional capital. But as I mentioned, since 2013, we're pretty much cash flow positive. We didn't have to print any more shares, and now we'll go to capital structure a little bit further in our presentation. Again, I can emphasize with the process and vegetable oil refining is the following: major reduction in usage of chemicals. Again, it's the cost. You reduce the cost for an end user. It's an easy integration, which is within about 24 hours. Technology allows the end user to extract more of the neutral oil that is trapped in impurities using conventional method. So all in all, ROI on our equipment through the end user is about 18 to 24 months. We have approximately 70 systems installed worldwide. Price range, they go between $200,000 to $1.2 million. Like I said, and we're primarily working with DesMet. Next product. Well, next product is something I think is really, really cool one. And it's again, that's a product that's coming to life in a very short future. So what we did some years ago, it was I would say 2013, 2014. We figured out that what technology does, we remove number of impurities from pretty much any type of fluids. And we said, all right, why don't we try some whiskey in our technology and see if there's anything we can do with it? I mean, it's afternoon, we can start drinking already, right? So of course we did it. And to our surprise, what happened was the taste of it was middle of the shelf, which I can't remember, it was like $20 bottle, something like that. The taste has become significantly smoother. And compared to the original product, it was just one of those, whoa, it just doesn't bite you anymore. So we scratch our head and go, okay, well, how do we go about it? I mean, is there something we can monetize on? Because it seems to be pretty cool. I mean, but how do we make money on this? All right, we decided to create our own vodka, or all other things vodka, because it's, it's tasteless, odorless product. We go, okay, Sky Vodka, 94-point rated, considered one of the better products at the time. I mean, we're not going to debate whether it's good, better, or different, but at the time they had 94-point rated with some very reputable companies. We said, all right, where do they get their ethanol? We figured it out. Well, let's mix it with water. It's 80% proof. Let's run it. You push the button, a second later, you get your product. We taste it. Wow, it's pretty cool. Let's send it to certain competitions. Well, I got to tell you this, guys. We're #1 rated vodka made in US, 95 points. And it takes us 1 second to make it. So I don't care about brand plus recipes. I mean, it's all nice and dandy, but I can literally tell you, it takes 1 second to make it. So what we did further, we just came back and said, all right, so how do we do this? Well, it's the same process I elaborated to you, that on the chemical level, we're talking about molecules, we break them to these tiny, tiny little pieces, tiny little things. And whatever impurities are naturally found in alcohol, your methanol, butanol, so on and so forth, we convert them into pleasant tasting esters. And if you look at analytics, what we've done, the truly harmful toxins that are found in alcohol has been considerably, majorly reduced. Which are those? All those byproducts are attributable to hangovers. Clearly, everybody can, someone can commit. It's not the only factor because it's, requires many other things, but one of. So what we did then, we go, all right, so where do we go from here? Let's try to go and see a couple of major companies like your Constellations, your Diageos. Well, we talked to them, but made presentations. They scratch their head and they go, wow, that's a pretty cool product, but how do you do this? Well, this is what we do. We can create for you all sorts of brands, but let's step back. Remember I talked to you about we're a technology company, and that's the reason what I want to do. We want to bring really big companies who know how to implement our product to the marketplace. Well, we're not capable of doing this. This is not what we do for a living. We just create technologies. So all these companies that are in spirits business said, wait, okay, so we create a new brand. Maybe it's better, maybe it's wonderful for the world, but we need to allocate capital markets for it because our consumer buys our product based on that label that we stick on. So we kind of went into that, well, it may not be so fast. It requires a bunch of money for us to get it done. Or what if we change the world and do something a bit differently? Why don't we create a consumer product that you can have it at home and do the same thing? So you can see on my, on my slides, it's a small little thing. It's probably, a foot tall. It's called Muse. Now the same thing, what we can do in industrial equipment, you can do it at home. Just bring in, pour in a bottle, whatever your favorite spirit is. Push the button. 5 minutes later, you're just going to see the whole difference. I mean, the entire difference in the world. It's going to blow your mind. So in 2019, what we conscientiously did, we went to see Amazon. And we didn't have a product on the table yet. So we had to go through, obviously, development of a product and so on and so forth. So we bring the product to Amazon. We have a launch pad, about 7 people in the room. We bring in Casamigos, which was George Clooney's product, and sold for a bunch of money. I think we brought Tito's, if I recall it correctly. So the panel of young men and women are sitting there. We just do it right in front of them. They taste it, and they go, again, how do you do this? It just literally blows our mind. So Amazon opted in to take our product on their launchpad. And launchpad is about 700 products Amazon markets today. And even though we're not in production yet, they just simply said, this is so different than everybody else does that we really want to take it in. And of course, what happens then? It's COVID. So the production lines are being shut down. We were thinking to run the production both in China and Europe, but there was no travel. There was really not much we were able to do at the time. So we had to put it on hold until now. Now we're again starting to open up and go through a process of manufacturing bar Muse. I'm going to tell you one real quick story in the bar Muse, and then I'll talk about a little bit of cap structure. So when we were starting the product, we came in to see Mondavi family. I mean, I'm sure if anybody who's a wine drinker knows that Mondavi had various products, still has wines on the shelf. Mondavi family sold their operations to, I believe, Constellation about 10 years ago for about $1 billion. So, but Rob Jr. still has his own winery, went to Northern California. So we bring in the product. I think we brought in also Casamigos, Tito's, and 3 wines, including one of them was Mondavi's wine. We're making presentation. We're 10 minutes into presentation. And we just see we have no traction. Rob and his winemaker are sitting looking at us, and I don't think we get a dialogue. So we tell them, why don't we stop all of this, okay? Well, let us demonstrate to you something that we can do for the product. 30 minutes into conversation and the tasting and everything else, Rob looks and goes, I'm not going to use the language he used, but he said, how do you guys do this? I've seen every technology in the world. This is for the first time, it blows me away. Can I join the board? Just like that. We had Mondavi join the company because that's what affiliation we have with the product that we have. So this product actually is coming into life very soon. We actually in discussions with several companies to go into manufacturing and production. And this is a smart appliance. As a matter of fact, we will look at this product down the road to simply have it almost like, how would we say it, Keurig or SodaStream. So we can have both razor and blade. Because conceptually, if you think about it, this product, you don't need to buy a label anymore. We can supply to a consumer our own product, our own whiskey for, let's say, $8. because it really doesn't matter, because the cost at the end of the day on the shelf is the distribution channels, your label, and your marketing. This is a smart appliance. I'm going to know consumer who actually operates this, how often they opened it, how often, which kind of product they use, how often they use, what do they buy. So from a marketing perspective, I think this is a really needed product. Again, I talk about it a little bit more because it's more relatable. It's consumer kind of thing. So, this is what we have. This is another product which right now just in development, it's water Muse. The same concept, but we're trying to create a vitamin water, CBD water, that at home, again, you can create something that is going to hydrate your body really well. It could be on the go, it could be for sportsmen or sportswomen, so on and so forth. But this product is in development. Here's us. As I mentioned to you, the last time we had to go to capital markets to raise any kind of money was in 2014. Our cap structure was preserved over a period of years because in the last 6 or 7 years, we only issued, I think, like 3 or 4 million shares. So whatever you see, we didn't have to go and, sometimes microcaps go to capital markets, write shares for services. Well, we haven't done it in the last 7 or 8 years. So whatever cap structure you see, this is what we have. We have only $150,000 in debt, and that money we received from government, which is, our PPP loans. That's the structure of the company, and this is it. So any questions, please? Yes?
Sorry, so the product you're using for the wine, for instance, is that the same technology for cleaning water and tap water?
Well, it's quite different because it's miniature.
Yeah,
But of course, yes, it's the same. It's just tiny.
So what can you tell me how it's working? What can you say?
In the spirits?
Or in the tap water?
In fact, go ahead. One more time.
What to do? What's the process? What can you tell me how it works?
Well, how it works, again, the black gooey water that I've shown to you, in reaction will break fluid to nanoparticles, tiny little things. Now it requires a bunch of chemicals to treat it and get rid of it so it becomes clear. We don't need chemicals to do what I showed you. It's just inside the reactor that does all the work. Okay, that's in essence what happens. And so because of different pressures, we create a type of environment by breaking fluids, nanoparticles, tiny little things, we're able to treat it very, very quickly and very efficiently.
Yeah, I'll just make one more comment. Neil's going to be around, okay? So I just want to make sure you're aware that what he's doing in the Permian Basin, the frac water, is going to show up in the financials in the second half of this year and then beyond. So you're going to start seeing revenues and earnings from the Permian Basin this year. And then, as they add reactors, that will get bigger. And then some of these other pieces will fall in place as well. So the catalyst is here. And I think, I guess unless the world comes to a halt again, he really should start, generating better numbers as we go forward. So I would encourage people to keep an eye on that. So, cool. Neil, thank you.
All right, thank you.